Hey everybody, welcome back to Turn Two. I'm Scott Kornberg with my good friend Troy Johnston. Thank you guys for giving us a little bit of a reprieve post-season. It was a pretty awesome end of the season, I think, for us both in AAA, and I think for you, Troy, in the major leagues. Before we kind of talk about the end of the year, how has the offseason been for you so far?
I wish I could say that I'm relaxing and I'm, having fun and golfing every day and doing all this different kind of stuff. But, with a 6 month old that's learning how to crawl and learning how to sit up and being so busy, I feel like a chicken with my head cut off.
Yeah.
I have been so busy. If you can't tell, I'm doing an interview from a car. So, yes, the acoustics are fantastic, like we talked about pre-show. But it's funny because since I don't have a permanent home, I kind of bounce around. I'm doing different Airbnbs, different stuff like that right now, and it's getting a lot and it's getting very busy. But we enjoy it and we get to see a lot of different people. We get to see our family, but the off season is very busy. I'm getting ramped up again. I took my break and now I'm getting ramped up again in baseball, and it's about to get even busier. Of course, with as much as the season just ended, spring training is right around the corner.
Very, very pressing question to start off the show. We are recording this on October 27th. Is Tatum dressing up for Halloween? Are you guys going trick-or-treating?
No, not this year. We had some costumes picked out, but our family and the people that were around, we don't really celebrate Halloween very much.
Okay.
And so it's not really like a big holiday for us. We're more Thanksgiving and more Christmas people. But if we were going to dress up, my wife already had something picked out. She said that she was going to be a cow, Tatum was going to be a cow, and I was going to be the milkman.
It's pretty
So
good.
I thought that was pretty good if we were going to do it, but we don't know anybody throwing parties. Nobody's really trick-or-treating. We're going to be out on the coast, so it's going to be quiet over there.
Yeah,
But if
it's
we were
too
going to dress up, that's what we were going to do.
I like it. Maybe next year. It is yeah, 6 months old. They're too young to go trick-or-treating anyway.
Yeah,
So,
they can't call. Yeah, we would hold her and we'd probably eat her candy. Or do you
nice.
guys celebrate Halloween heavily?
We do. We have a
Okay.
5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and then a 1-year-old who doesn't quite understand that yet, but um we do. They are the Nightmare Before Christmas, like that movie.
Yeah.
My wife and my kids love it. I'm not a big fan of it, but I listen, not my call. That's what they want to do as a dad, as you know, you go along with it sometimes. So I am Jack, apparently the star of the show,
You are the star.
and you would think that that would make my wife, Maddie, Sally, who they end up getting together, I think, at the end, and our kids would be Lock, Shock, and Barrel. But my daughter really wants to be Sally. So I will
Oh,
be Jack, she'll
nice.
be Sally, and the other, my wife, I think is I don't remember which of the three, but they are some sort of three. My 1-year-old, my 5-year-old, and my wife will be Lock, Shock, and Barrel.
Well, I can't wait to see the pictures because you guys are probably, if you guys are that in depth, because that is a
Oh, it's
classic Halloween movie. Like, you guys are going to be awesome walking down the block trick or treating.
shout out to my wife because we have at my kids' schools, they have Halloween parades before Halloween. And so I got to see the Sally costume last week, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
Nice.
So
Nice. That is awesome.
I'm excited. I have told my kids that I will get all their candy, which of course they just yell, no. That's why it's fun. But
That is why
yeah,
it's
the
fun.
kids love this stuff. Like that's what I'm looking forward to the most. And in Florida, the weather should be pretty decent here. I mean, I think we've got a couple friends who will be trick-or-treating with us who also have young children, so it should be a lot of fun.
So I have a Halloween question for you that I
Okay.
know some of our listeners might, disagree and or agree with. I feel like there's quite the army for and against candy corn. I
Ooh.
don't know. It seems like it's a Halloween tradition. I don't know what it's made out of, but personally, I like candy corn. And if that makes me on the opposite side of the tracks, fine, so be it. But I want to know your thoughts.
A little bit too sweet for me, but if it is if it's there, maybe I'll have a kernel or two.
A kernel or two. I like it. I
I'm
like
looking
it.
for the chocolate. Reese's is at the
Ooh,
peak Halloween rankings.
that's the top.
Twix I would put up there. Snickers I would put up there. Butterfinger. Top four, I think. M&M's, top five. That's my top five.
That's your top five. I
Hmm.
wonder what mine would be. Halloween candy. So me and my wife argue about it all the time because she's like a sour candy gummy kind of person, and I'm a chocolate person as well. But see, I would put Twix as number one.
Twix is great.
That's the only thing that I would change because I think we have very similar top fives, but I think I'd have to go Twix as number one, and or throw in a wild card, Three Musketeers.
That's a great one. Very underrated. Very
Very
polarizing, I feel like,
underrated.
as well. I
Yes.
feel like people are polarized on Three Musketeers. So I'll be looking for those as well. Just a few days away. All right. One of the really cool things that happens is probably all of our listeners know Jumbo Shrimp, AAA national champions. I think one of the really neat things about that run is it's the International League Championship Series. I'm pretty sure it's game three, winner take all. I'm broadcasting the game. I have a Apple computer, and so the text messages pop in on the top right, and it's the middle of the game, and I see Troy Johnston pop in. You're texting me during the game, and I'm like, wait, what is going on here? The Marlins are in Philadelphia. You guys had a rain delay, so I'm not trying to get you in trouble. You were in the clubhouse during a rain delay watching our game with a bunch of former Jumbo Shrimp. I just thought that was so cool. And I felt all year long we talked about culture. You brought it up many times that David Carpenter and his staff had brought in. That to me played out. I thought, here we are potentially about to win a championship. And I'm thinking about this as the game goes on. And the guys who are in the major leagues who shouldn't care about the minor leagues anymore were wanting to see their former teammates win it all. I just thought that was awesome.
Well, it's perfect. It really is storybook because there were so many people. What would you say, 90 different transactions
90
in
different
Jacksonville,
players.
90
Yeah.
90 different players. So everybody played a part in that AAA championship, other than, of course, the 30 guys that actually won it. You got to give them props because they actually finished it. Whether they started in AAA, whether they were there for a week, whatever it was, they actually finished that championship. And of course, shout out to Jacob Berry for that walk-off
Mhm.
home run. That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen, especially in a championship. What a moment for him, and what a moment for the team. But there were so many people that really were bought in on the fact of winning and the culture that was brought newly to the Marlins of, we want to win and it's going to win no matter what. Hopefully that's top down. I only got to see it from AAA and the big leagues, but it was how are you going to win the game? And that's the only thing that matters. And it's, of course, in Jacksonville, David Carpenter demanded the most of us. Sometimes even after a bad game where we lost by two or three, and we were like, okay, we'll just play tomorrow. A lot of that came out in emotion. He would give us a pep talk. He would come in, he'd say something. He'd say, hey, you guys are better than that. I know you're better than that. Next day, we'd probably put up 10 runs and beat him 10-0. A lot of people didn't see that behind the scenes, but that was just kind of what happened in the clubhouse and how we were so motivated just to win. And it even goes back to when I was there, when we were in Rochester and Syracuse, and we won. We were what, 4 games back or something like that. We were like, okay, well, we're close. We'll try our best. And we ended up winning 11 out of 12 to end up taking the first half championship and kind of being able to, say that was ours the first half. That was so cool. But, you know, being a part of something that big and being able to watch it even from afar and know that I was a part of that, know that all the guys around me that were up in Miami were a part of that, that we were all rooting for you guys to win because that's how much that team meant to us.
I was about to ask you, why did you guys care? But I think that says it all right there. I think you
Mhm.
nailed it on the head. Um,
I try my best.
he, at the end of game two, first off, they lose game one. And I'm like, I still feel pretty good about this team. Then I saw what it was like before the game two, and I'm like, I feel really good about this team. And then after the game, I think a lot of the time, and I asked him about this in Vegas, you never see the manager or the coaches go into the players part of the clubhouse, or rarely, I would say, unless it's really good or really bad. But he went in there after game two, and it was a really cool sight. Like what he said, which I cannot all repeat, and but also to see who we went up to, and was like Adam Major who was going to start. the third game, and it was Morgan McSweeney, who I guess he told him he's going to start him Saturday, even though we hadn't even won Thursday in Vegas, and to see those guys smile, I just again we talked to him our last episode. He's so great, and if you're a Marlins fan, just the level of investment in the organization, it just didn't exist like this beforehand. And you've got guys caring about each other. You had a great story in spring training about what Juan Soto like took an interest in you and what that meant to you. And now I think we're seeing it here. Is that all these major league guys? Yeah, some of you were with us. Some of you were not though this year. What that meant to you guys, I just thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it was. Sorry, I'm back. I got my phone's overheating here.
I was wondering,
I gotta move the car for a second. Yeah, my
what
phone's
a
overheating.
podcaster, driving as he podcasts. Do you need me to
Well,
embellish on that phone?
I'm in my the house parking lot, my in-laws parking. I call it a parking lot. We got a lot of cars, but so I don't have to drive that far. Thank goodness nobody's around me. Please practice safe driving. Don't be on your phone while you're driving, like I was. But see, just like that, I'm all done. Um, but it's been so cool just to see, and I even had a call with Carp, a couple seconds ago. He sent me a message, and so when I don't hear from people very often, they send me a message, and I'll just call them. I'll just see what they're doing, hanging out. But just talking to him about what he brought to the table, what he's gonna do in the future, how he's gonna approach it. He just said he learned so much, and he was just so thankful, and I'm so thankful for him and what all the whole staff brought because they really did bring something that, I've rarely ever had in professional baseball and even baseball itself.
Here you are. This is the guy who gives you that call to the major leagues. The Jumbo Shrimp have this great end of the regular season, great postseason championship. You'll get a ring. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Um, I also know that there's a pretty exciting, I think you know about this too, promotion that involves you next year, which is pretty cool. Your end of the season was awesome. We did a bunch of episodes on your debut and your first home run, but to watch you finish so strong this year has to be, for me, it was awesome to watch. For you, it's got to be pretty rewarding to see things finish the way they were. When you kind of think back to the last few weeks and you look at the numbers and they're pretty darn good, Troy. Was that just a comfort level? Was that adjustments? Like, how do you think back to the end of your first major league season to get where you are now?
We talked about it all the time in AAA. We talked about it with Mars. We talked about it with Carp, even Marcelo sometimes. But there's this thing we talk about. We call it imposter syndrome.
Hmm.
Where you go up to the big leagues, you go into a room that, maybe you're at a country club, maybe you're at somewhere you don't think you belong, but you're trying to fit in and you're trying to do your best, but deep inside, you know that you don't belong. That's imposter syndrome. And so we would talk about it all the time because the first time I experienced something like that was my very first year in AAA in 22. I came up, I did okay for about 2 weeks, and I was like, okay, cool, I'm doing really well. This is great. It hit me. I struggled for the first time. And that's when that thought crept in, said, hey, I don't think you belong here. I don't think that you're going to succeed here. I don't think you're going to have success at this level. You may not see this level again. Maybe this is the end of the road, stuff like that. That's what I incorporate in imposter syndrome. A lot of people have it when you first go to the big leagues
Hmm.
because everything's very overwhelming. You have a lot more fans. You have these big stadiums. You're playing against, names you've seen on the Sports Center ticker for the last 10 years. You have these long traditions. You have older guys that, have rules in the clubhouse, different stuff like that. All of it comes at you very quickly. And so you go up there, you're like, okay, I just got promoted. I think I belong here. It's awesome. First sign of struggle, that's when sometimes those thoughts creep in. For me, like I said, in 22, I had those thoughts already. I knew how to get up above it. I knew how to get around it. I knew what I needed to do. Um, of course, it's different for everybody. For me, it took me maybe less time than I probably thought it was going to take. But going up there and having that success and looking like I felt comfortable is all part of it. I mean, fake it till you make it sometimes, but I did feel comfortable because I played with, there's 26 guys on the roster and everybody that was coming in, I played with everybody except for four of them.
Wow.
So walking into that clubhouse, it was very familiar. It was very calm. I once I got into my routine, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew how to accomplish it. I knew what I kind of wanted to get better at 1% every single day. That's kind of my thing is I try to get 1% better every single day, no matter what it is, whether it's defense hitting, doesn't matter. Just try to get better. Try to find something that I can get better at because if you get lackadaisical, that's when things start rolling a little bit more. Then things don't go too well. But going back to what I said, of course, I'm really happy with how the season ended. For me, it was a fantastic part of my career that I was able to say I made it. Just like you can say that, you made it, you've been up to the big leagues, you've done it. Um, it's very, very cool. It's freeing, some may say, that, for so many years, it's like I know I can do it. I just haven't got the opportunity.
Yeah.
And now that I've gotten it and I know that I can do it, that's something that I can, work off of and hopefully, treat into a longer career and have more opportunities. But I think a lot of it has to go with bouncing over that imposter syndrome, knowing that a lot of guys, like, I think it would be so different walking into, the Dodgers clubhouse for a 28-year-old, a 29-year-old. It's so cool to watch a guy like Justin Dean while probably walking to that Dodgers clubhouse, make the playoff roster. And he knows he's not going to hit much, but he's out there. He's probably having fun. He's probably doing what he needs to do, playing great defense. But coming into an all rookie team like the Marlins, with a lot of guys that I came up playing with for years and years and years, um, it was just very freeing. It was very easy for me to transition. It was very easy for me to adjust. And if anybody comes up at that point that I know that I've played with, that I know might have that same thought that I do, I would really love to tell them and talk to them about those kind of things because that's a big part of being in the big leagues and even going up a level, whether you're going from low A to high A to the big leagues, whether you're going to from college to pro ball or even high school to college, you're going to have that imposter syndrome. You're going to have those thoughts. So trying to overcome those so that you can for yourself to have success is it's so hard. It's easy to say, it's harder to do, but it's something that needs to be addressed and like know that you're going to have it no matter where you're at.
I think in any field too. You now do what because I know a lot of people are like, okay, he is a major leaguer, and now what happens? Like, is there an exit interview with Clayton McCullough or Peter Bendix or somebody like that where they're like, we like what you did here, but we want to see this? Or is it, hey, I know I want to do X, Y, and Z with my game, and I took my, or I'm still taking some time off for the season. Like, lead us through this first month or so. The season ends, and then what happens for you?
So I haven't had much contact with the Marlins. I think because it's been so fresh, it's literally just been a month. They're focusing on guys in the fall league. They're focusing on, moves that they're going to make after the World Series is over. They're doing all this different stuff because, of course, the free agent market opens 5 days after the World Series. So
Yeah.
they're very busy thinking about that. I don't blame them. But as of right now, for me, I'm trying to relax. This is the first time that I've been able to relax in 2 years of straight baseball. So I'm trying to relax. I'm trying to spend time with my family. I'm trying to heal my body from, 300 to 400 straight games. And from there, I kind of build it back up and I get ready for spring training. Of course, I'm going to have meetings. I haven't had any yet, but we're having meetings here soon, talking about different stuff of what's going on, how do you want you to progress, what you can use, what you can do. A lot of that is just coming with time. When a lot of guys, have more time and it's starting to ramp back up for spring training, that's when you kind of do it. But if any professional baseball player knows, you can work on something all off season. You can work on one specific thing. It could be great. Right when you get to spring training, it doesn't work, and you're gonna have to change everything. And it happens all the time. Guys feel great coming into spring training. They're awesome. For the first week, they're nails. Can't be beat. 2 or 3 weeks go by, 4 weeks go by, four turns into five, six, seven. Then things start unraveling, and that's when like the flaws really come out. So going into spring training with an open mind and knowing that yeah, I might have stuff I want to work on the off season, but staying in shape, staying mobile, staying flexible, staying healthy is way more important than hammering down on one thing and being like, okay, great, this is what I'm going to work on, and this is going to change my whole swing or my whole thought process. Because right when you get to spring training the next year, you might be a totally different hitter. Could be exactly the same. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
different for everybody. But I've had years where I come into spring training and I'm like, wow, I feel strong. I feel great. And all of a sudden, my first five at bats are strikeouts. And I'm like, okay, well, now I have to change something because clearly this isn't working.
That's what
So,
spring training is for, though. Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
I know you've said in the past you're not like a big sports watching guy, but you're a major leaguer now. Are you watching the World Series?
So, selfishly, of course, a lot of you guys know I'm from Seattle. So, I was watching most of the Mariner games and I thought it was so cool to see the Mariners just, yes, I'm a Seattle fan, of course. But watching something that they've never made it to the World Series. They're the only major league team to never make it to the World Series. And they were so close to making history, to being that team after, however many years not making it to the World Series. That's really what I was bought in for. And so I was hanging on to every pitch that the Mariners had just because I wanted to see that history be made. I wanted to see something cool because you never know, you know, you're sitting at the 2002 Masters and you see Tiger Woods win his first, his first, second, or third Masters, and you see history. You're watching it, and so when I was watching the Mariners, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, I'm witnessing history right now if they win these games and they go to the World Series. And so that was probably the coolest thing for me watching these games. I've been watching the World Series games. I know a couple of the guys here or there, but um, I would rather watch playoff baseball than anything else. I still haven't watched a football game or a basketball game. Haven't watched a golf tournament, nothing. So I'm just listening to music, hanging out.
Good,
But I
being a
will
dad.
watch. I will watch. Yeah, I will watch the playoff baseball games. I think they're fun.
The Suarez Grand Slam. I thought that was the moment, right? Okay, you win that game and
Yes.
it's like this is it. They got to just win one
Yep.
more. I
They're up 3-2. Yep. They're up 3-2.
because I'm not a Mariners fan, but I don't know how you don't root for them unless you're a Blue Jays person, just because of the history of the
Right.
Mariners. And the Blue Jays it's been a long time too. So, good for them to get here. I'm not discounting Toronto, but man, the Mariners have never done it. And they had this epic team
hmm
and they went for it. Feel for the people. Feel for the people.
Well, and you got to think about it. It really was bigger than that. It was the USA versus Canada.
Yeah.
You know, we were Team USA. It was an Olympic style, watch party of the whole US wanting the Seattle Mariners to beat Canada. So,
Here's something kind of cool about this postseason. Normally, I feel like watching baseball, even Jumbo Shrimp baseball, I feel like there is a pretty obvious correlation where, okay, if this happens, then that could happen, but if that happens, that could happen. It's very rarely one thing, though. There's just a lot that can go into the game. But I feel like this World Series, it's pretty obvious. If the Dodgers can get length from their starting pitching, they're going to win. And if the Blue Jays can get to the Dodgers bullpen, the Blue Jays are going to win. I think in particular this stage of baseball, this late in the season, to have something seemingly pretty obvious of how the game is going to flip, and we'll find out, how does Dave Roberts push Glass now more than he normally would, or Otani. Obviously, Yamamoto is freaking incredible. Snell didn't pitch well game one, but I think he might be the best pitcher in the world when he's on. I don't know.
well,
To
it's
me, it
funny.
just
It's
seems so
funny you
simple
said it's funny you said that Blake Snell didn't pitch well in that game because if you actually look at it, he gave up 2 runs.
until
He
the
gave up
bullpen
two.
blew it.
He
Yeah.
gave up 2 runs, and then the bullpen came in and gave up 9.
Yeah.
So he's sitting there on the bench looking at him like, "What the heck, guys? Like, I worked hard. I pitched what 7, 8 innings, and then you guys blew it up. And then yes, Yamamoto was unbelievable. But I think the cool part about the Blue Jays is they nitpick. They're not going to hit. Springer's been amazing, but they're not going to hit 3 home runs a game like maybe the Mariners might. They're going to hit a backside single. They're going to bunt the guy over. They
Yeah.
might hit another single, and they're going to score 2 or 3 runs. And then if they get their 4 or 5 run inning, then you're in trouble because they're going to put it away.
Here's the thing about the Blue Jays. I think you nailed it perfectly there. They led baseball in batting average, actually by a pretty fair margin, 265, which is this is the way it is in 2025. But they play all these matchups. It's about putting the ball in play. And I think that that's such an underrated thing that we always see home runs and how much they matter. And listen, the Blue Jays hit a lot of home runs still. They don't hit them at the level of the Dodgers, but they still hit a fair amount of home runs. But I do think there's something to be said about just putting the ball in play and seeing what will happen. You never know, in particular at this stage. And even in that 9 run inning, yeah, they had the grand slam, yeah, they had the 2 run home run, but there were a couple balls that snuck through. They weren't necessarily BBs, but you put the ball in play and you see what happens. And you work the count and you get hit by a pitch and you get a walk. And it's a cool style of playing. I enjoy watching them play. They're a very good defensive team too. Jimenez up the middle.
Yes. Yep.
Varsho is fantastic. Like they're a pretty pleasing team to watch.
Which is crazy because you have Bo Bichette, who moved over to second base so Jimenez could play every day
Yeah.
because he was the Mariner killer, is who he was. He just, he had 2 home runs in a row, then he had another 2 RBIs. Like he was taking it to the Mariners for a little bit.
All right, let me ask you a question on the
Yeah,
Mariners, just to bring it back.
sure.
I almost think there's a way you could frame this for the Mariners. Like I remember reading this article about the Kansas City Royals in 2014 when they had this miraculous season and they took the Giants to 7 games and came up just short. And this writer, I think it was Rainey Jazzaliri, but I could be mistaken in who it was. Um, I remember him writing this column about pain is something only the living could feel. And that really stuck with me because the Royals had been despondent for decades, but it was really painful to watch them get that close if you're a Royals fan. And yet they made you feel something, which all these decades of, in particular, Royals baseball, they didn't make you feel anything because they were not competitive a lot. And the Mariners, honestly, their history is not that good. They came in and they were horrible. You have the late 90s, like the amazing double with Dave Niehouse's call, which is incredible. You've got the 0-1 team that won 116 games and then they flamed out and they didn't make the playoffs for like 2 decades. So
Yep.
I almost think as a Mariners fan, if you're a Seattle person, yeah, it's probably really painful, but at the same time, it's like you're feeling pain, which is probably more than they have felt in a long time. I don't know. What do you think about that as a guy from that area?
I don't know. My dad is pretty religious when he comes to Mariners baseball. It sometimes sways his mood for the day if they win or lose, just like most fans. But he's been talking about how excited a lot of people I've seen a lot more Mariners stuff than I've ever seen just around town. And of course, I'm about 45 minutes to an hour south of Seattle. So I've seen more people wearing Mariners stuff, saying "Go Mariners." There's a lot of really good things that are happening in this area just based on the fact that they haven't made the playoffs in a long time. And I think that kind of you bring a lot of people with you. I think that the Marlins, if we make the playoffs, that's going to happen in Miami. That's going to happen in the surrounding areas. A lot of people are going to be rooting for us. But seeing how Seattle really is a sports town, and it is a baseball town. They love the Mariners here. They absolutely love. They live, die, and breed Mariners. And I don't know. It is painful that they didn't follow through, but it's baseball. It happens. I get that they're going to have a great team, but I honestly think that they're going to be not too bad coming up here soon. Just the way that they signed Julio Rodriguez, they signed Cal Raleigh. They went all in on the deadline. They brought in Suarez, they brought in Naylor. Um,
They have some
I
great
want to say they
pitching.
brought in another. Yeah, they brought great pitching, and they're all under control for a while too.
Yeah.
They got Brian Wu, they got Logan Gilbert, they got all these different guys that are all under control. They're young. They're they're pretty good. I haven't faced any of them, so I don't know what it's like standing in the box. But that kind of team is up and coming, and I honestly see the Marlins a lot in that too. The Marlins are just needing a little more exposure, a little more experience, and they're going to be right there too.
Yeah, I like how he brought that back home. I
Did my
Similar
best.
thing. Franchise that has not done a lot recently, but kind of like the Mariners, they showed some signs. Hopefully you guys are ready to take the jump. Did you feel that this second half when they played as good as anybody pretty much across baseball the last X amount of games. Was there that feeling that like, hey, we're figuring this out together? Like, did you go to the ballpark and it's something that you feel, right? I don't know if you could explain it, but you can kind of feel it being amongst those people if it's happening.
Yes, I've been on winning teams, I've been on losing teams. I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like to go to the park and be like, if we lose today, that's going to be a disappointment because I think that we can win every game that we're in. I've been on teams where it's like, all right, we're coming to the field. Hope I do okay because I know the teams we're going to lose by 8 today. I've been on both sides of the ball, but realistically, going into that Marlins clubhouse, there were so many good things going on. There were so many people working hard, trying to do their best, trying to find a way to win every single day, whether it was a scouting report, whether it was the coaches, whether it was the nutrition staff, whether it was, our strength training staff. It was like they were on us because they knew how good we can be, and we knew how good we could be. It was just we kind of ran out of time. We were getting hot there at the end. We needed a couple more games. If we played, maybe 170 games, maybe that was one that
Yeah.
we could have made the playoffs on something like that. We were getting good there for a little bit, but we had small goals. Once we got eliminated from the playoffs, it was knock out the Mets. That was our only goal. Was like, hey, let's win 2 of 3, take it away from the Mets, make sure that they don't make the playoffs. Before that, it was, hey, we're 4 games back of the wild card. Let's win every single game we can because that gives us a good shot. It's a long shot, but gives us a good shot. And so having those thoughts in our head, having those thoughts as we walked into the clubhouse, knowing that every game mattered, every pitch mattered, that's really what it was about. It wasn't just, hey, I'm going to come to the park and I'm going to try to get 2 hits because, my contract year is coming up and, I want to get paid and it's about me. It was more about the team and it was more about how are we as a collective group going to win every single day. And that was when I kind of knew that it was different and it was really cool to be a part of.
Pretty cool way to go into the off season. It's our first off season episode. So thanks again for your patience, everybody. Any final thoughts for you, Troy?
There's going to be a very exciting group of players coming to Jacksonville, coming to Miami this next year. I just hope that you guys still stick with us as the Turn Two podcast. We're going to keep on doing it as long as we can, as long as Scott will allow me to join
Oh
him.
my gosh. Vice
But
versa.
we are so thankful for all the fans that have been reaching out. I know
Yeah.
that you guys I get random texts every once in a while like, hey, are you guys doing an episode soon and all this kind of stuff. And we just want to say thank you to everybody that have
Yeah.
been listening and been true fans. Through everything, it has been awesome to be a part of and to hear all of your guys' stories. I really want to do something for the fans. At the end, our last episode, whether it's another mailbag episode, whether it's we answer a couple questions or we do something like that. But
Hmm.
please keep giving us your ideas and making sure that you know that you're listening because that just helps us out even more.
Yeah, if you've got something you'd want to see, or maybe, I don't know, maybe we do a raffle. We could do a lunch with you, Troy, or
Ooh,
something like that, or both of us.
I
Uh,
also have I also have gear I could give out. Could do signed gear.
oh, that'd be pretty cool. All right. Yeah, if you
Could
guys
do
have
something like that
ideas,
too.
let us know in the comments or reach out to either of us. Scott at jackshrimp.com will do it for me. Um, people could, is it cool if they message you on Instagram or
You could
something like
DM
that? What
me.
do you think about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, message me on Instagram, stuff like that. Yeah,
Okay.
that's no
Um,
problem.
yeah, well, and we'll brainstorm some stuff too. So it's October 27th when we're recording this. We got a few more, we got some time before the new year, but again, thanks everybody for listening. Please, if you could like and subscribe and things of that nature, that stuff is huge for us to continue to grow. I know we've mentioned that in the past, so appreciate all the people who have done that. And it's pretty cool. What a cool way to end the 2025 season. It's a pretty memorable one. Your debut, championships, pretty cool end of the year. I don't know. It's awesome stuff.
How about it? Here's to 2025.
Here's to 2025. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. This has been Turn Two with Scott and Troy, and we'll talk to you in a couple.